The episode begins with Yuru and his companions returning from the Kagomori clan mansion while Dara examines the card Jin had given him, already thinking about using Jin's account to buy alcohol. However, he soon noticed that Yuru looked very depressed. Because of that, he decided to show him more of the world. First, he took Yuru onto a ship, leaving Yuru and his demons completely stunned. After that, they traveled by metro and then watched a horse race, where Dara lost money. Yuru commented that the horses there were incredibly large and fast, saying that riding them would require a lot of practice. He added that he especially liked the horse that had come in first place and asked how much it cost. Dara immediately told him to forget about that horse, joking that Hannah would divorce him if he bought it. He then told Yuru that he would buy whatever he needed to live there. Yuru then said that what he needed most were arrows. Yuru explained that if he had the materials, he could simply make them himself. That gave Dara an idea, and he took Yuru and his demons to a supermarket. The group became excited upon seeing the place. There, Dara asked what materials were needed to make arrows. Yuru explained that he needed bamboo, a knife, and thread. He could make arrowheads himself using iron and stone. He also asked about deer because he wanted to boil their skin and organs to make animal glue. Dara immediately stopped him and showed him ready-made glue instead, leaving Yuru completely shocked. After buying the supplies for making arrows, they headed to the checkout counter. The girl working there seemed able to see right and left, but she ignored them, finished Yuru and Dara's bill, and sent them on their way. After they left, she told her manager that she thought she was hallucinating and needed a break. Her manager refused, causing her to complain that it was exploitation. Later, Dara and Yuru went shopping for clothes. When Yuru saw a mannequin, he mistook it for a scarecrow and started examining the clothes around it. He said he liked modern clothes because they had many storage compartments. Dara told him he could buy whatever he wanted. Yuru chose black clothing because bloodstains would be harder to notice on it. Hearing that, Dara jokingly wondered if a criminal was shopping for clothes. Dara then asked whether Yuru needed underwear. Yuru had no idea what underwear was because he still wore a loincloth. Since he could not find one there, he suddenly remembered something. He recalled how bandits had attacked him while he was hunting. Following his father's teachings, he had killed them and buried their bodies. However, something about them had always felt strange. Now he finally understood why. The adults who lived on the mountain always had dirt on their hands that never completely disappeared, no matter how much they washed. Yet every bandit who attacked him had perfectly clean hands, just like people living below the mountain. One of them had even been wearing modern underwear. That realization led Yuru to conclude that those bandits had deliberately climbed the mountain to kill him. Right and left suggested that perhaps the villagers themselves had sent those bandits. If the villagers had attacked him directly, they might have lost his trust. But if Yuru had died and obtained the seal power while still trusting the village, that power would have benefited the village. Even so, Yuru could not fully believe that theory because he had no proof. However, after everything that had happened, he could no longer completely trust the villagers either. Dara then explained that only a handful of people knew how to enter the village barrier. This significantly narrowed Yuru's list of suspects. Left asked whether they planned to attack those people. Yuru agreed, saying that hunting had taught him that whoever secured the best position first would win. At that moment, Dara realized exactly what Yuru intended to do. Soon after, Yuru informed Dara that someone was following them. Dara replied that he already knew and that 3 people had been tailing them while taking turns. He wondered whether they might be connected to the Kagomori clan, but told Yuru not to look at them. Meanwhile, Yuru pointed out that Dara had claimed he did not want people to recognize him, yet he had appeared in the photo Asha had taken. Dara replied that it did not matter. The mansion already had many cameras, so people had likely identified him long ago. In fact, he had wanted that to happen. At the same time, Asha was looking at her photo with Yuru. When she noticed Dara in the picture, she edited him out completely. Then Jean arrived and asked her for the photo that contained Dara, but Asha claimed she did not have any such picture. This confused Jean, who immediately ordered Haruo to review the security footage. As soon as she heard that, Asha also requested the clips that showed her brother. Elsewhere, Gonzo was interrogating the people who had attacked the mansion. They revealed the name Makoto Akishima, saying that he had hired them for the job. Makoto even allowed them to check her call history, while another captive explained that everyone involved had met for the first time there and had been gathered by the same person. The timing of those calls matched the period when Jean and his companions had finished their confrontation with Yuru and were returning to the Kagomori clan mansion. Asha also discovered that Jean had called her during that same period. Jean then asked exactly when the attackers had entered the mansion. One of them answered that they had entered sometime between 1:30 and 2 o'clock. At that time, Jean had been receiving treatment for his leg. Makoto then claimed that the west gate had been open, allowing them to enter easily. The other attacker confirmed the story. Everyone present was shocked. When Jean asked which gate they meant, they again referred to the west gate. Gonzo immediately stated that the mansion did not even have a west gate. Both captives were stunned. Jean also explained that the western side consisted consisted only of a wall. Afterward, Gonzo asked one of his associates, Fuyuki, to verify their statements. Using his demon, Fuyuki lifted Makoto's demons into the air. She became frightened, but Gabi assured her that he would not harm them. Then Fuyuki's demon began revealing detailed information about Makoto, including personal information and details about her home. Through this, they learned that her mother was hospitalized and that her involvement in the attack was motivated by that situation. Embarrassed, Fuyuki told his demon to be quiet. He then analyzed another captive's demons and extracted all of his information. They discovered that he had participated because of gambling debts. The captive was horrified and demanded to know who Fuyuki was. Fuyuki introduced himself and explained that his demon pair, Blacklist, could extract information from the previous masters of any demons they touched. After hearing all of this, Gonzo concluded that Makoto and the other attacker were not connected to the mastermind. Rather than punish them, he offered them jobs. Both were stunned and asked whether they would not be punished. Gonzo replied that working like donkeys would be their punishment. The answer terrified them. He also agreed to cover Makoto's mother's medical expenses, making her extremely grateful. The other captive then asked if his gambling debt would also be paid off. Instead, Gonzo kicked him in the face and told him to pay it back himself while helping repair the mansion. Later, some of Gonzo's associates questioned whether hiring those two had been a good decision. Gonzo explained that they now possessed all of their personal information and could therefore use them as soldiers. He also ordered that any captured demon wielders whose demons had died should later form contracts with new demons. Their information would then be extracted through Blacklist as well. Finally, he ordered that if they discovered the mastermind's identity, the mastermind and all accomplices should be killed. While the mansion was being repaired, one of the workers asked Asha to return his demons. Asha asked whether he had given them names. He answered that he had named them Ohaki and Defuku. Hearing those names, Asha and Gabi burst out laughing because they sounded like sweets. Even Jean found it hard to believe that someone like him would choose such peaceful names. The man then asked Gabi about her demons' names. After she told him, he commented that they sounded strange. That immediately angered Gabi, who trapped his head between her demon's jaws. Afterward, Asha asked the demons whether they wanted to return to their former master. They refused. The answer made the man cry, prompting Jean to order him to focus on his work. Later, Gabi asked Asha whether Break objected to her keeping those demons. Asha replied that Break had no objections. Because of that, Gabi suggested that Asha keep them for protection, especially since enemies could still be hiding within the mansion. Asha seriously considered the idea. Meanwhile, another meeting was taking place in a dark room. The participants commented on how narrowly they had escaped disaster. One person apologized for causing trouble and promised to perform better next time. When asked whether they should hire more people, however, the speaker refused, explaining that Gabi and Asha had proven extremely useful. He admitted that he had genuinely feared missing his manga deadline because all of his assistants had become sick and important files had been lost. He apologized for causing trouble but promised to manage his schedule better in the future. When asked why the room was so dark, he explained that the house had been damaged and some areas no longer had electricity. Meanwhile, Yuru finished buying his clothes and left the shopping complex with Dara. The people following them were still there. Yuru considered capturing them, but he had forgotten Dara's weapon back at the Kagamori clan mansion and apologized for it. Dara refused, explaining that he already had a plan. He then told Yuru to come with him because he needed some weapons himself and wanted Yuru to have some as well. They headed toward Dara's house. After moving through several alleys, they arrived at an old house. Inside, Dara showed Yuru a large collection of weapons and told him to choose whatever he liked. Yuru selected an axe, while Dara picked up a gun. At that moment, Wright sensed the presence of demons. Dara already knew about them. Meanwhile, the three people tailing them decided to report back to their superiors and reveal Dara's location. Before they could leave, however, Dara and Yuru appeared behind them. The moment the men reached for their guns, Dara fired and shot one weapon out of a man's hand. At the same time, right and left restrained the other two. One of the men tried to flee, but he suddenly became trapped in a dense fog and found himself inside a completely different dimension. Dara explained that it was the lost house of the Dara clan. He warned the man that one wrong move would leave him wandering there until death. The terrified man attempted to run but stumbled over a skeleton. Dara explained that the remains belonged to a former Kagamori clan agent who had once followed them and become lost there forever. He added that many more corpses were likely hidden throughout the lost house and demanded to know the man's identity if he did not want to end up the same way. At that moment, Wright once again sensed demons nearby. Dara explained that they belonged to the Dara clan and were responsible for creating the lost house. However, Right and Left insisted that there was another pair of demons present. Everyone immediately became alert. Suddenly, the captive's head exploded. A gigantic hand appeared and began moving through the area. Then a massive demon emerged from a canal. Another demon followed and crushed a person beneath its foot. Both demons recognized Right and Left. Because because of that, Left ordered Yuru and Dera to stay back. Right and Left had recognized the owners of those demons and immediately prepared for battle. And with that, the episode came to an end.